you say that you think it doesn't break this Christian filter. I think it does. I think
how?
It absolutely
But how does it break the filter? Like,
because
do you
I'm
think that
bringing
you're
my audience.
do you think that you're suddenly unprincipled because you're willing to go engage them on their own turf? Because you're willing to expose people to what is truly going on? You think that, I mean, first of all, don't assume for a second that your audience is so stupid they don't understand that there's half-naked women all over the place and that there's clickbait all over the place for those half-naked women. They know that just fine. Your job and duty is to go into those dens of iniquity and do battle, not to clutch your pearls and say we're never going to engage. That's crazy.
I said I would want to go on the show, except I'm just what every other guy that goes on there and craps on the women. That's an easy dunk. Oh, I think being an OnlyFans model is more important than being a lawyer. Wow, that's a hard thing to debate. Instead, I'm going to go into the Lions Den, fly to Los Angeles, go to the Whatever podcast and ask Brian, why don't you stop promoting them in your pictures and stop giving their social media accounts in the bio? Stop doing that.
Yeah,
Stop.
you can, you can, but it's strange to me. Why would you want to go out of your way to agitate a host that brings the majority of this to light? If you look at the Whatever podcast clips, they're 99% negative towards these women. And if you look at the hundreds of thousands and millions of comments they get within the engagement, you can see that that really resonates with a lot of young men. The first thing you have to do to bring people to Christianity, as you know, is defeat their current ideology before you can replace it. It seems to me that there's one of two ways people come to Christianity. One, the world destroys their ideology. Shit that is so fucking bad happens to them over an elongated period of time that it crushes their worldview, and they turn to God for salvation. The second is that their ideology is crushed by somebody else, and then they turn to God from that. I think that both methodologies are perfectly acceptable. Either God's going to bring them to you or you're going to bring them around, right? But our mission remains the same. And I think that it's important for us to go where these people are and engage. And it doesn't seem like it would do anything for me to tell Brian what he's supposed to do or not do on his show that I'm allowed to go on and debate my ideology on in front of tens of thousands of people and pull the maximum amount of them out.
I mean, you have no problem telling other red pill guys.
Telling them what?
You have no problem confronting them and going down the list of all the things you disagree with them on.
Yeah.
And you're very shy to do.
Yeah, no, I'm not shy about it at all. Can you point out a time where I've told red pillars that they're not allowed to put provocative thumbnails up? Because it's never happened. Or reciprocal links in the bio? Because that's never happened either. I want my links in their bio. I want people to click on my name and come hear an alternative message. I fucking want that. And I'm so confident in my ability to retain the audience I have with the message that I have, that I don't even care about putting theirs up because I don't feel like they can defeat my ideology.
I think if anybody that's listening to this objectively just goes on to the Whatever podcast, clicks on their channel and just looks at the first 10 thumbnails, they'll see, oh, they're obviously advertising these OnlyFans promiscuous women. It's obvious. Just, you don't have to watch the video. Just look at the thumbnails. They make it so obvious. So no, I don't think that's a place for a Christian to go.
Yeah, but
no,
you were saying initially that they were linking off to these pornography sites, and none of that was even true. So
they're
the thing
linking
is,
to their Instagrams, which link to their pornography sites.
Some of them do. Some of them may not. Hard to say. But the thing is again, if we're back to the promotion of X thing being bad, just remember that that's going to go across the board for everybody. They also think you're bad. They also think you're evil. They also want you deplatformed and destroyed. And you want the maximum amount of people to come to your side. That's going to require reciprocation, whether you like it or not. And the thing is, in this adversarial relationship, to some degree, we have to work with the degens to reach the degens. We don't have a choice. They own everything, bro. They own it all.
No, you don't negotiate with God and the devil. No,
you're not negotiating with the devil.
You said you have to work with them. You have to negotiate with these people.
To a degree, you have to work with Destiny to go on his show. Yeah, to go on his show, you had to work with him. I'm sorry.
To speak against him.
Yeah, but so you had to work. So you had to work with the devil to go against the devil? That's crazy.
How am I working with the devil?
How are you not? If you go on his show, he's sending you links, you're setting up times, you're working with him.
I'm going against their ideology.
Yes, that's right. You're going against their ideology while working towards going on their show, which is a great promotion for their show. My friend, are called content. You're called content. He used you for content to promote his own ideology, to promote his own agenda. He used you. You were working with the DGen, whether you want to believe that you were or not. You were. How were you not? They used you for content.
If I'm against him, pushing back on him, I'm not working with him.
Yeah, okay. If the DGen is utilizing you for content to promote their message, okay, and you're going along with it, yes, you're working with them. What I'm saying is that you have to work within the confines of the system you find yourself in order to reform it. This would be no different than if you were wrongfully imprisoned. If you're wrongfully imprisoned, I'm sure that you would do things like hunger strikes and all sorts of things which work within the system, the confines of the system, in order to convert the system over time. This is exactly what we see biblically with the process of economia, which starts with you understanding that various cultures are going to have very anti-Christian movements and very anti-Christian methodologies. And you work within those cultures to over time subvert them. That's what they did. That's what all the apostles did. All of them worked within the cultures that they found themselves in order to subvert them. Every single one of them.
Well, I'm not going to get off into a religious debate because that requires its own debate in and of itself.
No, I understand that, but I'm just making the point. That is true, right?
I think there's some truth to that, but obviously it's contextual. I will say, though, because this has been said a few times, I just checked that Destiny debate that was on his last night on Destiny account, and no, I was not plugged in there. Maybe there's clips of me somewhere on YouTube that they plugged me. My name wasn't said in the title, and I wasn't plugged.
No, you plugged yourself while you were there.
My link wasn't plugged.
No, but you plugged yourself, which is the exact same thing you're asking that these women do, which would lead to the exact same effect, which is that people would find you through that.
I mean, sure, but even if I could go back and he said, I don't want you to link yourself, I don't want you to say your name, easily, I won't. I still want to stand for what's true, though. Nobody has to know what I am.
But you can do both.
I'm still reaching his audience. I don't care if people
But you can reach him, but I want you to reach the most audience that you possibly can. No, you're not. You're curtailing yourself for no good reason. Just because you refuse to acknowledge that this is the material reality. I want you to walk right into the whorehouse. And you don't need to go over and tell the brothel owner, hey, man, right, what you're doing here, it's fucked up and I hate your guts, because he's never going to let you go back in to preach to the women, right? You have to start from where you're at. This is the culture you find yourself in. You were born into it just like I was. There's not a damn thing you can do about it except work within the confines to reform it and subvert it. And I hope that you think about that in the future as you go through this, because we could really use your help. And I think most Christians, right? You seem like you're a talented guy. You make good content, right? We could use you. So many Christians could use your help, and they already have an audience, but they need to know how to reach other audiences. And the way to do that is to get mass platformed across the board, so you can reach out to as many as you possibly can.
I think that's self-serving. I think if
it is self-serving, that's what it is. It's not antithetical to Christianity to be self-serving about Christianity. That's what you're serving. You're serving the maximum reformation of people you possibly can.
Oh, that's quite the mental gymnastics you played there. Because if I don't get my platform plugged, but I still get to speak to that audience and speak truth to that audience, I'm still helping them. They don't need to follow me for me to feel successful in that.
Yeah, debate. But what if they want to follow up? They have tons of questions. They want to hear more about what it is that you're talking about. They want to know more about what it is that you're discussing. They want to go through an entire back catalog of all RC content so that they can see exactly what your mindset and worldview is that so impressed them. Don't you want to offer that to them?
There's obviously utility there, sure.
That's my whole point.
I'm not going to deny there's utility there, but still, to compare my link to a woman that just wants men to subscribe to her OnlyFans account is like, I get what you're saying. I understand that there's an analogy here, but it's not one and the same. It's really not.
Look, I'm not saying there's nothing we can ever point to that's going to be 100% analogous with something else, right? We're drawing an analogy because apples and oranges are different, but they're still fruits. So we're trying to compare something that's similar enough. And what I'm saying is that it's similar enough that when a leftist degen goes on, who has a massive audience, who created the material conditions for things like sex work and OnlyFans to have the legalization it does today anyway, I consider that a worse societal ill than even the promotion of the sex workers themselves, because the societal conditions are put in place by these leftist progressives to begin with. And nobody seems to have a problem putting reciprocal links in with them whatsoever, because for some reason, as long as they wear dorky fucking glasses and use sophisticated words, we're supposed to consider them academics and not the true threat. And I think that that's insane.
I want to go back to your analogy of the brothel, right? Because you're saying that, I mean, obviously it's an analogy painting back to the whatever podcast. You want to go into these spaces so you can speak truth to those women on there.
No.
And sure, they might have their link account.
No. Hang on. Let me make sure something is clarified. I don't give a fuck if the women walk away not having cared about a single word that I said. I don't give a shit. I'm not trying to reach them at all. I'm trying to reach the hundreds of thousands of people who will watch the clips and who will view the episode and who will view other people who are reviewing the episode and who will be reviewing other people who review the reviewer who reviewed the episode, and the thousands of people on Twitter who will fight over the breakfast question. Those are the people I want to get at. I don't give a shit, ultimately, about whether or not I can reform a prostitute on whatever. That is not my ultimate goal.
Well, Jesus,
it would be a nice side effect. It would be a great side effect. Okay? But it's not my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to reach as many people as I possibly can. If they're closed off, it doesn't make their arguments better, it makes them worse. And it makes it easier for me to convert more people to my side of the aisle.
Well, Jesus' goal was to reform those prostitutes so they could go forward and sin no more.
Well, I'm saying if that's a side effect of what happens, it would be great. Okay, if they reformed, I would love that. That's great, but that's not my primary motivation. That would be a secondary, ancillary motivation. I'm trying to reach the most amount of people I can with a Christian message, the same way that you would agree the apostles tried to do the exact same thing, reach the most. That's why they went to all four corners of the world. That way they could get their message out to all four corners of it. So the point here is not necessarily to reform the girl. That's a really hard endeavor. I think that would require somebody far more sophisticated than myself when it comes to theology to do. However, I feel my arguments are very sealed and tight and very easy for hundreds of thousands of people to see. And once they see them, that can be very helpful for them.
Everything you said, I don't mind. You can go and hold them accountable for the audience that's watching so that they can see a discrepancy of their worldview versus your worldview. And but again, I'm still standing firm. Their social media accounts are still tagged, and I don't think that's necessary.
Well, I think that it's a matter of pride at this point for why you're standing firm, because your argument does not stand against mine. Mine's clearly superior. And man, listen, if we were to break it down, you have given multiple hypocrisies, even including the linked area, and your delineation point for what you consider to be appropriate degeneracy to promote is simply arbitrary. It's simply arbitrary. There's no way around that. I am not giving you an arbitrary standard. I'm giving you a definitive standard. I want to reach the most amount of people possible for the message of Orthodox Christianity. I don't know what your brand of Christianity is. That is not
Jesus Christ.
Well, they're right. It's not my goal to show them whatever your brand of Christianity is. It's to take them to what I consider the true church. But I still would rather see them move towards whatever it is that you're promoting than what these fucking leftists are promoting. And I think you're good at it. You're a skilled orator. You're a skilled content creator. So, don't let pride hold you to this principle. You can reform it tomorrow. Nobody would even hold it against you. Nobody would even hold it against you. And you would end up with a more massive following where you could hit these people even harder. And that seems way wiser.
I think you're going on there, and you've already admitted that you wouldn't go on there if your account wasn't tagged. I think you're doing it for clout. I think you're going on there for clout.
Yeah,
I think that you don't.
Yeah, I want the. Yeah, but what am I using the clout for?
You've already admitted self-serving.
No. When I said self-serving, I gave you a qualifier. What was the qualifier? You said
self-serving for Christianity,
yes.
But that's antithetical.
It's not antithetical. No, so Christianity for you is also self-serving. It does serve you, yes, and you're a servant of it. But to say that it's insane that. Yeah, I know that you serve. I know that you serve God. I get it. What I'm talking about when I say the words self-serving, right, is that it aligns with my agenda to reach the most
Your
amount of
agenda.
people with
Your
a Christian
agenda, not
message.
God's agenda. See, that's the difference. I'm going on.
How's
God's
God going to
agenda.
execute his agenda? Is he going to do it through you?
He's going to do it through whoever.
Yeah. And why? But it just can't. But wait. It just can't be me.
It can be you, but you're already saying it's self-serving for you.
Bro, you're misconstruing on purpose.
That's what you
You're
said.
misconstruing what I said on purpose.
I
I
wanna
said it's
clarify,
self-serving to my agenda to reach out to as many people with a Christian message as possible.
You're saying self-serving to my agenda. No, you should be serving God.
I am
Not for
serving
your
God.
agenda.
Can you tell me how I'm not?
You said I'm self-serving for my agenda. Those are your words.
Oh my God. Okay. I
That's
think
what you said.
I think that God wants me and wants you to go out and make disciples of the nation. When I say the word self-serving, I'm saying that you're serving this agenda. Yes, you can strategize still and be tactical. Yes, you can still have an agenda which is serving the greater good here. And it's like, I don't know why you don't get that. You seem to be caught up on me just saying self-serving, like I don't have an agenda. I do have an agenda, and you have an agenda. And I hope that to see more of your agenda come to fruition.
If you prayed to God and he made it very clear, he closed the doors and he said, he does not want you to go on to that podcast for the reasons that I'm stating. Would you agree with his guidance?
Yeah. Why would
Have
that
you
even
asked-
be a question?
Have you asked if this is the place for you to God?
Yeah, and you know what? He came down on white horses and he was like, no, don't do it. This is an insane question. I pray constantly. Constantly. And no, I've heard no counter message to this, right? I don't see what it is that I'm doing which is incorrect or antithetical to Christian ethics, right? You asking me this question of, did you pray and what did God tell you, right? It has no bearing on anything that we're even talking about.
It does, because we're both Christian.
What does that
should be
have
the first
to,
thing we do.
Bro, what does that have to do with anything? The fact that I pray and didn't get a response, that I didn't see a vision
You
of
didn't
God
get a
who told me to go on whatever podcast. I don't know what the machinations of God are. Okay? I don't know what the total plan of the Lord God is.
So he makes it obvious to you through dreams, visions, thoughts that he presses on you. You know this. I mean,
man.
if you've studied, is that not true?
No, I think that you don't know how to make a delineation between what could be spirit presenting itself as being God. How would you know the distinction if you have no ecclesiastical authority to test the spirit?
You look at the fruits of that spirit and you see if it's a Holy
Yeah.
Spirit or if it's a...
Well, I see the fruits of a spirit who's in front of me who wants to make sure that I'm mitigated from reaching the max amount of people with Jesus Christ's message. So are you a good or a bad spirit? And who
I'm
can
saying,
we have
brother.
who can we have to arbitrate whether that's true or false?
All I'm saying is ask God if this is the right platform for you to go on. That's what we should do first as Christians for anything we do.
And did God tell you not to go on the platform?
It's very clear. Yeah.
When did he say that? Do you have a date?
Well,
that
I'll give you
seems-
an example.
Hang
I'll
on,
give you
hang
an
on.
example. I'll
God
give you
gave
an-
you revelation. Can you give me
Right.
the date he gave you the revelation that you're not to
I
go on
never
the
got
platform?
invited onto the show. I was never invited.
That was
If I
God.
were to get in,
Not
are you making fun of this? Like,
yeah,
you're a
yeah,
Christian.
I
It
am
sounds like
making
you're
fun of this.
talking-
This is insane. You're saying
insane.
that because you
Being
weren't
a Christian is
invited.
insane.
I didn't say being Christian's insane. I
You're
said that
saying
you
that
whatever
being-
your version of because Brian didn't invite you on. That was God's plan. I think that was just you being a stupid ass and being way too aggressive with a person whose show you wanted to go on.
Well,
I think
maybe
God
I'm not
sat
like
that
you.
one out.
Right. Maybe I'm not like you and I'm not self-serving and I want to serve God's agenda, not my personal agenda. It's a big difference.
You do want to serve your personal agenda.
No, I don't. How are you going to tell me? I want to serve God's agenda.
You want to serve
I was
God's agenda?
Yeah, I do. I was
Okay.
invited to the Pierce
So
Morgan
then-
show,
so then-
and God made it very clear to
So
not go
so let
on
me
to
ask
that
you
show.
this,
I
right?
decided to not
There's
go on the
nothing
show.
there's nothing self-serving about what you're doing.
How is it self-serving?
Do you make any money on Instagram?
No, zero. And zero on TikTok as well.
Yeah,
and I
if
had
you-
over 300,000.
Yeah, if you
on
can,
TikTok.
will you?
No.
Why not?
I've been approached, I'm not going to say the organization,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been approached by an organization that will pay you X amount per video. And I said, no.
Yeah, why
And I
not?
can pull up- Because I'm not in it for the money.
Yeah,
I'm
but
in
what,
it-
but what if you were getting paid and through this you were getting promoted so that you could bring a message to more people?
Let's say a company were to come to me and say, we're going to pay you $250,000 for 5 years to work for us. I'm going to take every penny and donate it to the church.
Okay, got it. But wouldn't it be? How would you pay your bills?
I have other sources of income.
Yeah, but let's say you didn't. Let's say you didn't. Let's say part of the contract was that you had to do the contract. Would you take money then?
If it's going to serve me, no, I'm doing this to serve God.
Okay, what about this?
I'm not
Let's
playing
assume
what
for a
about.
second you got.
I'm not doing what
No,
about.
no, I'm just going to ask one last question. Let's assume for a second that you got extremely famous and you made millions of dollars. Would you give all of it away, or would you keep $1 million?
If I made any penny off of what I'm doing, speaking on these messages, I'd give every penny of it away.
Yeah, why? Why wouldn't you pay
Because
your
I'm
bills
not
with some
doing
of
this
it?
for self-serving
Yeah, but why
reasons.
wouldn't you
I'm doing
pay your?
this for God.
If you're a good entertainer, why wouldn't you pay your bills with some of that?
Because I have other sources of income.
Yeah, but if you didn't, it's baked in the hypothetical you don't.
But I'm not that person. You're talking to me now. I'm
Yeah,
not playing
but I'm saying if you were. So I'm just trying to make a delineation as to what's appropriate and what isn't. Like,
What
is
is
there a
that?
problem with Christians? Is there a problem with Christians making money?
No.
Okay, well then I don't understand what the criticism is.
Because I've already prayed about this and it's very clear to me. I don't want to make money off of doing this. And if I do, I'm going to donate it to the church. Because you know what? I prayed to God. And
Then why don't you monetize your accounts and give it all to the church?
I can't even I'm demonetized. I was banned off of TikTok and Instagram doesn't let me monetize.
Yeah, but when you weren't banned, why didn't you monetize and give it all to the church?
I had the opportunity and I didn't monetize my account.
Well, that's weird. That seems like a contradiction. I thought you just said you were going to monetize and then give all your money to the church.
You presented a hypothetical. If I were to be paid X amount of money, then yeah, I would give it to the church. But I wasn't presented with the opportunity, so I'm not.
You just said you were. You just said you were presented with an opportunity from a big company where you could have given all the money to the church. So why didn't you do it?
Oh, I did get presented with that opportunity. I thought you meant if I got presented of it from TikTok.
Yeah, that was for me to test your logic. But now we can move back to why I was testing your logic. Why didn't you just take the money and give it all to the church?
So they were going to pay me a few $100s per video, and I'm not going to sell myself out to make a few $100s per video.
How are you selling yourself out? You're taking money away from them and giving it to the church.
Because they want me to make certain content that they want me to. I don't care to make the content they want me to make, even if it was in alignment.
Well,
with
I don't know. That sounds pretty self-serving.
How?
Because what if you make the content which you believe in and also get paid for it and give it to the church?
The payment that I like, what gives me satisfaction, is turning anyone, man or woman, towards Christ. That's all the payment that I care for. Is people?
Yeah, but I mean, money's going to be a big part of being able to do media outreach to people.
Okay.
I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
I've gained over 500,000 followers and being suppressed, highly suppressed on just my phone alone. Clearly, I don't need a lot of money to get the message out there.
Yeah, but what if you had a lot of money, you could really get it out there? Wouldn't that be better?
What would I be doing differently?
Well, I mean, I think that some of the things you can do differently is engage with people who are degenerate scumbags on their ginormous platforms so that you can build an audience, monetize it, and then go give all your money to the church like you said you wanted to do.